we're going to look at something called the canvas. Now, the canvas is a great thing built into Unity. We're going to go UI, and we're going to add a canvas here. And what that does is it overlays over your whole game, no matter what size your game is. It's got some peculiar things to it that can be troubling to work with sometimes, but it's built into Unity, and that's great. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to right click on this. We're going to say control, well, let's zoom out for a sec and let's double click the canvas. You can see that the canvas is, it's weird. It's like no matter what size your page is, it's just going to stretch out and cover the whole thing. Okay, so let's just say I'm 16:9 ratio, and then you can right click and add certain elements. They're UI elements, user interface. Okay, so you could put an image on there. I'm just going to put an image in there for a second just to see what that looks like. And in these, I'm going to put a new graphic into my folder. I created something off screen, and I'm not going to like take the time to show you how you make all the graphics. At this level, you probably know how to use Photoshop a little bit by now, or Illustrator, whatever design tool you like to use. I'm going to drag this graphic into here, and my star, I made a star. Now, so you'll see when you select the star, you've got to prepare it to be used, and so you take Sprite, 2D, and UI. Not all objects can be seen in the canvas, but if it has the UI next to it, then it will work. Hit apply. And so now when I select this image, I can drag my star up into there. And I can now, if you look at this thing right here, and you click it, you can set some properties here. I hold the Option key down. Remember, hold the Option key down. Hopefully you're listening to that. And then you can click. See on the PC it would say Alt, but on the Mac it's Option. So the Option key is the Alt key for Mac. Okay, so and if you click this, look, it'll stay up in that top left corner. So no matter what aspect ratio you have, it's going to be up there. Okay, so that's it's kind of handy, and you can move it, and it'll all be with respect to that anchor that you put it that you used. And then if you don't like the size of that, you can resize it with this tool, or I would suggest holding Shift to keep it to perfect scale, or you can change dimensions using this. You know, whatever you want. You could have changed. I could have changed the scale down as well. Okay, so at some point we're going to collect stars. Okay, so I just wanted to put that there, and I'm going to label this image star just so we know later. And then in the canvas now we are going to add something else. We're going to say canvas UI, and we're just going to say text. And I'm going to use this legacy text for now, and you'll see it put a text box here, and I'm going to anchor that in the top right corner. And you'll see that it has some space there. I'm going to go ahead and let's just look at this in 2D view and double click this so I could see exactly where the text is. And you could play around. When you have the text selected, I'm going to anchor it in the left paragraph form, and then I am going to, let's just stretch this out and fill this in with, we could hit best fit, and it'll stretch out to the size of the box, kind of like that. Okay, kind of just move this how we like. You set that up however you want, and this is going to be like our distance score. Okay, distance score. Okay, and so right now we're going to write a code file that will make that change as we walk. Okay, so let's go ahead and get it right into that. So we're going to insert a new, I'm going to right click and say create empty, and this is a new object. I'm going to call this scripts. Okay, so I'm going to attach a script to this. Let me go into this assets folder here, and what I would like, what I think makes things cleaner. So I'm going to right click and say create a folder, and I'm going to make this folder called scripts. So any code file from now on, I'm going to drag into there. Now, if I don't have any code files open yet, I think it's safe to go ahead and take previously made scripts and drag them into this folder, and it won't break any links. So, and I could test that to prove it and see if my tree still moves and that code file didn't get broken since I just moved it in the folder. Okay, good. So now in the scripts game object, we are going to create a new script, and we're going to call this thing game script. Okay, you could really name it whatever you want, but let's just all be consistent. And hit that, give it a few minutes to, or a few seconds to go ahead and create that, and you'll see that it just drops it in the assets folder. Before I open it, I'm going to drag it into scripts folder. Just a folder, right? You know, the name scripts isn't like correspond to this game object. I just, you know, I've just kind of followed other tutorials myself, and that's kind of what they've named them. And then so you could just double click this right there and let your code editor open up. And so what do we have in here? We have our Unity engine, and okay, so let me talk to you about this. This is some built-in stuff here, and if you go into Google and you look up like Unity, and if you want to use UI text, you can search this stuff, and you'll see that you know, you'll see that let's just take an example. Unit interface. Let's just see a script. I'll just type C# after here. Let's just see this real quick. Manual structure with C# scripts that you will need to add. Why is it not? I should have searched this up before. Anyway, let's just get right into it. Here we go. So we're going to say using Unity engine .ui, okay, and that allows you to access the text in the canvas. Okay, so let's real quick make a public text element, and we're going to call this distance text. Okay, and then when you save this, it will create a little thing right here, and you can drag this element, open up the canvas, and drag this text right into there. Okay, so now we are referring to this thing, and let's just, for example, on every single frame when it updates, let's just write distance text dot text equals hello. Okay, so save that, and when I push play, it should make that thing, let's see if there's no errors, it should make that say hello every frame. Okay, great. Now I said every frame, and there's a reason why I said every frame. So we're going to make a, let's say, this could be private or public. I'm just stick with public. It's going to be in float, public float distance, okay? And that's just going to be the distance. And so every frame, we're going to make the distance increase. So, and how are we going to do this? So say distance plus equals time dot delta time, and then we're going to make the text read out what distance is now. So we're going to say text equals distance dot to string. Okay, so let's just play this, and I'll explain what's going on here. Okay, and look at that. It's just counting up. That's how far you've traveled. Now if you count that 9, 10, 11, 12, it's going like a clock every second, right? So Yeah, so that's kind of how we're going to calculate our score, and we could alter this later to make it just integers so that you don't see all those decimal points, or we could always use we could round the number down so we don't have all those decimal points, but we could play around with that. But I think that's enough for right now just to get your text going. Why don't you focus on just getting all this text working, and then we'll move on from there. So what's going to happen is that you're going to hit an object, the game will be over, and it'll show how far you went, and then we'll add stars that you can collect and see how many you can collect before. So you'll have like 2 scores, star collecting and distance. Okay, so go ahead and have fun adding in some text. Have fun.